So this is a photograph from camp with an activity that, bar at Skeet where some boys were assigned to it, every boy was assigned to doing what we called at that time ablutions. And ablutions consisted of doing all the washing up, which was quite considerable because we seemed to think in those days you had a dish for everything. So no matter what was brought out, we would provide cutlery and crockery and everything, and masses of it. And so this was the nicer part of ablutions. This was the fun part because we could play around in the open air, get it all done. We used to have a kind of joke competition that went on most of the time to see who could come up with the rudest joke and that type of thing. And as you can see from one of the guys in the photograph, ducking people into water, splashing people, all the rest of it was quite the norm. But this was the nice part of ablutions. The really bad one tended to be allocated to people who weren't behaving too well, was to do the ablutions, which was looking after the toilets, basically. Our camp, practically, bar the cooking, all work was done by the boys, be they putting up the tents, be it clearing away things, be it doing, as I said, cleaning this, cleaning the toilets, doing anything else, getting provisions in, everything was done by the boys. And I think in a way that was quite interesting. We haven't got, this is not in this picture, but there are some other photographs where you can see where you'd have to have tent inspection and everything that needed to be tidy in there. It's interesting that stayed with me in that I'm actually ridiculously tidy at home, and so is, funny enough, my son, not my daughter, and that seems to have stayed with us. My son had been in the reserves, so he got into that habit, and this was a little bit like being in the army in a way, in that the discipline was quite strict. They let us have and again, like the army, they let you go crazy when they wanted to let you go crazy. But you had to be there for roll call, you had to be there at the right time, you had to be up at the right time, etc., etc. There was no excuses. I guess that's the only way it worked with so many boys. There was, so, relatively speaking, so few managers looking after them. But you will see in this photograph, I think, there is no managers, no supervisors, nobody present. So it was left to the boys to do it. So if you messed around, you can mess around as long as you cleared it all up afterwards. I think you can again see on most people's face, everybody looks like they're having fun. I'm looking down at the back. The only one, of course, not messing around at this stage. Concentrating very much on the plates and the dishes and making sure they're properly clean. This, again, would have been about 1960-ish. I don't think I ever did any washing up at home, ever. Even to like my 30s, I don't think I ever did. It was only when you went to these things. And I don't think my father ever did any washing up. So it's quite interesting.